welcome on a windy day. Wait, I'm just gonna show you my face for a moment. I just one moment, I'm just gonna let me see what is the okay. I think you can now hear me a little better. Just gonna show my face also. Hello and welcome in Zaanse Schans. I had a little problems with starting up this stream, so I had to close it down completely. Now my sound is a little strange, but let's see. One moment, I'm just gonna do it again. And it is also very windy. Yeah, it is very windy. So okay, I think now, I don't know, I'm just hearing something, so I think we are connected, and I hope you can hear me. If not, just let me know, and then we're gonna try it again. Sometimes you have these things, technology. I'm still feeling like a newbie in this world of YouTube, so but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's a windy day, and it is perfect because we are in an area that really needs some wind, because we are in an area in the Netherlands that is called Zaanse Schans. Zaanse Schans, and it is it is a really beautiful area, very historical area also, and you can see how windy it is today. So my hair is completely gone almost, so because of the wind. So I sometimes to find some places with a little less wind, but it will be hard. But on the other hand, we need wind to have windmills, because without wind, this area would not have been there. So my name is Stefan, by the way. I'm a guide in the Netherlands and in Belgium, in some of the most windy countries in the world. No, also some of the most rainy countries in the world. So I all want to welcome you in an area that's called Zaanse Schans. And that's in my best Dutch pronunciation. And I'm going to change the screen now so you can look around. And it's good to see so many people back on the new link. So it was a little crisis just to get everyone here again. And I want to welcome you. So over here, what do we have before we are entering the Zaanse Schans? That is, and it is very windy. You can also see it on the trees. But before we're entering the Zaanse Schans, we have this beautiful little house, and you can maybe imagine what happened in this house in the old days. So this was one of these tea houses. So imagine 18th century, maybe end of 17th, start of 18th century, in this area over here in just north of Amsterdam. We're about by car 25 minutes north of Amsterdam, in an area that's called the Zaanstreek. Zaan, and the Zaan is named after the river. You can see that we just passed over a big river. That is the Zaan River. It is connected to Amsterdam, or near. It's coming nearby Amsterdam, and this used to be the industrial part of North Holland, the industrial part just above Amsterdam. And to be honest, it is still nowadays a very industrial area. Just to give you an idea, I was just coming here some hours ago for another tour first. And when I came here, look how beautiful this is in the meantime. It is in the area over here. If I'm coming here, it's always like, oh, this area always smells like cacao, because they're making still nowadays a lot of chocolate over here. So, and what is the best to have your chocolate with? Of course, that is with tea. And over here we have one of these tea houses that was used by the ladies, or the women of the rich industrial men, and they were having tea in houses like the one that you see over here. By the way, nowadays even you can still buy some stuff over there. For a long time it used to be even still a tea house, not nowadays anymore. But chocolate and tea, I mean, that is the best combination, isn't it? So what? Yeah, this industrial area of Amsterdam, and I'm gonna take you through this industrial area to the little village of Zaanse Schans. And Zaanse Schans, I have to say, that is a village of several houses, of course, also several windmills, because that's also where people are coming for. And we're gonna see it, and it's the perfect time because it is now 8 p.m. It's a little over 8 in the evening, and that means there's no tourists left. So all the tourists are here during daytime, but not now anymore. But just to give you a little idea, so they have a map over here where we can see where we are. We just I just tried to do a pre-tour here at the other side of the river with these beautiful greenhouses. Then we were going over the bridge. That's what you've seen, and then you have the view on the windmills already over there. And we're now gonna see this little part of the village, and then some of the windmills at the end. So that is the area, and it's called Zaanse Schans, and it is a collection of windmills and houses that used to be over here in this area. So that's a good thing to know. That a lot of the places over here are from the area, but not specific from over here. So what they decided in the 1950s is that they wanted to keep our heritage. They wanted to keep our beautiful greenhouses, our beautiful windmills, because there were less and less of them. So they decided, let's have one area to all have them together. And that's how it started to be over here as Zaanse Schans, as a sort of museum an open museum where you can see how people lived over here since the end of the 17th and also in the 18th and 19th century. So, with these beautiful, really beautiful and unique green painted houses, almost every house is partly or sometimes even completely made from wood. Even the farms here at the other side are, and it is a unique area. And nowadays, it's good to know that some of these buildings are in use as a museum. So, for example, the first building that we saw over there, and also the second building, they are both museums. The first one is just from the museum of the area. The second one is the first supermarket that we had in the Netherlands, and maybe it's even the first supermarket all over the world. And if you come in the Netherlands, you can find this supermarket almost on every corner. It's called the Albert Heijn, uh, and it is quite famous now. By the way, always we are sometimes calling it the blue supermarket, while the first one was green. And Albert Heijn started over here in this area with one of the first supermarkets, and this little greenhouse over here was the first supermarket that we had. Of course, if you compare it to nowadays, it is nothing compared to what we have, but it was for the first time that we had one shop where you could go, so you didn't have to go separately to the butcher and to get your vegetables, to the grocery, etc. No, you could just get it in one place altogether. That was unique for that time. So, and then over here, more of these greenhouses, and someone was asking it already, are these all museums? No, they're not all museums. The second, the third, the fourth house, all of these ones over here are just houses where people are living. So, not as a museum, people are actually living over here. And it's the same here at the other side. This greenhouse at the other side, that's also not a museum. No, no, there's still people living over here. So that's also one of the reasons why we have to behave ourselves a little. And that's also what people are asking. If you're coming over here, behave yourself a little because it's actually a living place. So, and people who are living over here, of course, you know that you're living in an area where the whole day there are people coming around taking pictures of your gardens, of your house, peeking inside, of course. But to be honest, a lot of Dutch people do not care too much about it. We're used already to have our windows opened, and some people are even proud that they're living over here. You can maybe imagine that. And it is a collection of houses over here. By the way, there's a restaurant. It's now closed, so during daytime you can have one of the best lunches over here. And this place over here, is called, you can see it on the sign, uh, it's called Restaurant De Hoop, hoping for the black walvis, the zwarte walvis, the black whale. Oh, and why was it called the black whale? Because the Dutch, we were, of course, sailing the world. We had a lot of ships. I will tell you a little more about that later. But also, this area was where the whales that we were hunting on were brought over here for their meat, but also for the oil that you can get from the whales, and of course also a lot of other things. So that's why this restaurant is called the Black Whale, because this area was where most of the whales that we were catching were brought to. And just to give you an idea, it is really a beautiful area of these houses at the left are more like in from industrial things, and here at the other side you see a cute little bridge. I'm just gonna give you a little to the other side just to give you an idea with these tiny little houses there at the other side. They are more like farmhouses, or they are old farmhouses, and then this little, and I know, or you know, that I love gardens. And this is a very specific one, a beautiful one. Uh, and Peter is asking, were houses with false front on their gables common? No, that there were not so many false ones, so they were quite real, to be honest. So, but look at this. Look how beautiful the roses here at the other side, and then you're coming in this little part with at the right side again some other greenhouses. So you see, it was not one color of green, there's several colors of green. Oh, and also some wildlife over there at the other side. I don't know if you can see it. There's a rooster. There's a white rooster there at the other side. And over here, there's another one. Or even several ones. And then everywhere, these green, beautiful green houses and also green trees. Pollarded, pollarded willows, by the way, here on the side. I'm not going further on this side because I want to show you some other parts, but it is showing a little of the Dutch landscape. So because also over here it's a little the same as in Amsterdam, this is the landscape that you have over here. These green fields, perfect for cattle, for example. A lot of them used to be swamps, and since the Dutch found out um, that you can dry all these lands by using windmills, by the way, it became areas for our cattle, and it is beautiful, but still very wet. And you can see it, like the water level is quite high. The soil is just a little higher than um, than the ground than the water. So, and look at this. So, how beautiful this is with the roses on top. I'm just going back over the little bridge again. And we're so lucky, by the way, on this time of the day, because if I would have come here at, for example, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, literally, there are people everywhere. But now, because it's so calm and relaxed, it is feels a little like it was in the old days. Here's some more beautiful roses, and look at this, so colorful. I mean, it's not a very sunny day today. It's a little gray, gloomy sometimes, but these flowers are brightening up my life. Okay, let's go to the other side. And almost everything, by the way, over here is from 100, 200, sometimes 300 years old. So even the place where you could get your letters. So this is one of these old, old places where you could leave your post to bring it to the post office. So nowadays not in use anymore, but it's still there. Okay, let's start walking a little further. So this area, I said already, it is the area, the industrial area of Amsterdam. And for this, we have to go back to the 17th century. And in the 17th century, the start of the 17th century already, Amsterdam became more and more rich. More and more traders were coming over there, and we became very rich with trading all kind of stuff over the world. But we had one problem. We did not have enough boats to get all over the world. So we wanted to trade so many things that we were running out of boats the whole time. And then in the start of the 17th century, while we were watching this beautiful house of, by the way, Koopmans Huis, the mole. You can see the mole. There's a mole on the side, so he has a beautiful part just above his door because his surname was a mole after the animal. Um, and no, but they were really searching for a solution. And then in this area, at the start of the 17th century, there was uh, an engineer, and this engineer, he was working in a windmill, and what he was trying to do is to find new solutions to use the power of the wind. And what he did, and that was the first time all over the world, he invented a sort of a crank, and with that crank, it made it a lot easier to use the wind power from the wind that was coming into the windmill to let the wheels of the windmill turn to get that power into a machine that could saw the wood. And that invention, using wind power to saw the wood, that made it possible to saw pieces of wood 10 to 20 times faster than people could do it by hand. So, and that was for that time an amazing invention. So soon after he did that invention. He sold it to some businessman in Amsterdam. First, he tried it in this area. Nobody was interested in it. Like, yeah, why would we Saul? Why use this crank? We are using already. We're doing it by hand for ages. So why should we do that? And but then some businessmen in Amsterdam, they were saying like, oh yeah, we can use it because we wanna have more ships. And for a ship, we're using a lot of wood. So they started to use it, and because of this new invention, making these big wooden ships became a lot faster. And from about this area, the start of the 17th century, at the end of the 17th century, there were over 150 docks. Over 150 docks building ships. How many ships they were building? About 3 to 4,000 a year. And imagine, this was the 17th century. For that time, it was unbelievable. So much more than every other European country. So our power became very fast, became really a lot more than all our neighbors. So our fleet became bigger than the fleet of the English, than the fleet of the Spaniards. And mainly because we could build our boats in not in 2 years anymore, but every boat was taking us only 3 months. So all because of that windmill machine that windmill that was used not to pump water anymore, that we were doing already before, but now to saw the wood. And over there, the green windmill, that is still one of the windmills that's even nowadays in use to saw the wood. Of course, nowadays we have machines that are a lot faster, but imagine how big this invention was for this area. So also the number of windmills went up until over 600 in this area. So nowadays in Zaanse Schans we have 11 windmills left, but it used to be over. And it is windy. Maybe the wind blew away my signal. So hopefully you can see me again or not. Woo! Almost. It's so hard to win, so the wind was blowing my signal away. I'm sorry for that. It's just the Netherlands. It's just the Netherlands. Almost everything is away. But you can also imagine at the same time, I don't know if you can hear me, but you can imagine that how perfect this area is for windmills. We have so much wind. So we can use that power. We can use that power literally to do all kind of things. So just behind me, the green one, that is the sawmill, and then a little further there's one that's grinding things for paint. There's of course there are windmills that are used to make bread, to grind all kind of things. So grinding, sawing, and of course also pumping the water. And also, of course, for chocolate. Think about chocolate. What do you have to do for chocolate? You have these cacao beans, and these cacao beans, they needed to become, they needed to become into little pieces. I mean, there are several steps, but one of the pieces is to grind them into cacao powder. And what do you think we're using for that? Windmills. So windmill is the solution for everything, as is chocolate is the solution for everything if you are not feeling well. And it is really too bad that I cannot let you smell how it is smelling here right now, because I am just smelling the chocolate bars that you can get from this area over here. And wow, hope you can still see me and hear me and everything. Ah, but look how beautiful they are. And now I see sometimes. Oh, yums. Well, I think you can hear me what I'm saying. But it's. I was just when I, before I went away. I was just asking, can you hear me? Because there's so much wind. The video is working. Hopefully also the my earphone is working. So look at the beautiful sky. Look at the typical Dutch sky and think about all of these painters that were coming over here to paint windmills. There were a lot. There were a lot of painters coming over here. And one of the most famous ones, by the way, is the famous French painter Monet, or Monet, if you're saying it in good French. Monet was over here. He stayed for several weeks in Amsterdam, and also he came to that industrial area of Zaanse Schans. He came over here and he painted several sites with the windmills, several sites also with the greenhouses. So if you see the work of Monet, if you're googling Monet in combination, for example, with Zaanse Schans, or in combination with the Netherlands, then you will find for sure a lot of his paintings that he made over here. And by the way, this is also a good example of where we were, that we were also living under the sea level. So look at the water level here at the left side. This is the Zaan River. The Zaan River is here at the left side. That's the river. And then over here we have the dike. This is just a tiny dike. And then at the other side, look at the level of the ground at the other side. That is lower. So if I'm jumping there, I will be under sea level. And I can even show you that. So look again at the water level, now going down, 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 down. Oh, I would now be with my feet in the water. Not a lot, maybe 30, 40 centimeters, maybe 1.5 feet. Not a lot more than that, but it is lower. And even the water over here is even lower. I mean, this water over here almost looks like grass. It is water. I promise you, it is water. I cannot jump in there. I would be completely soaken. Over there, you can see the water. But it is lower. It is lower. So this is one of these typical Dutch lowlands. Typical Dutch lowlands. And where I'm standing over here in this lowlands, it is about 3 feet under sea level. So if we want to go from over here to the sea, then we have to go up for about 1 meter or 3 feet in total. So, and a good question from Dawn. Do it ever flood over here? No, not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, of course, the Dutch, we have been living under sea level for about 700 years now. So in the 13th century, we got our first windmills that were used to dry the lands and everything. So that is a long time ago. And in these 700 years, we got a lot of practice. Of course, we had disasters. We had several times that it didn't work, that dams were breaking, for example. But no, we nowadays have it under control, and we know exactly how it works. So Dutch engineers are literally uh, hired all over the world to help areas like, for example, New Orleans in the US, all over Bangladesh, but also New York nowadays. Even New York has problems with floods or with high tides, at least. So, and that is all because over here we invented it. We invented it with the windmills to how to pump out the water to have some extra land. And in this case, the extra land over here is mainly used for cattle. So, and of course, and Glenn is asking, is there still a pumping tax to pay? There is something like a pumping tax. Yeah, yeah. And in the Netherlands, and I think we are the only country who have it like that. So we have, of course, we have the national government. That's one level. Then we have provinces or regions or states. We have several regions. That is the second level. Then we have the third level. The third level, that are the local governments. So that can be your city, for example. But there's also a fourth one. And that fourth one is mainly in the western part of the Netherlands. And we are calling it the waterschappen, the waterhoods. So waterschap, that is just an organization that is started while we're looking, by the way, at this beautiful Poelenburg windmill from the back. You can see 1876, and it's rebuilt in 1963 because what happens with windmills from wood, they can sometimes get into fire. So, but no, we have a fourth level, and that fourth level, the only thing that they are responsible for is to keep the land dry and to do everything with water, to do the water management. So, and yeah, we're paying taxes for that. We're paying taxes. So if you're living in the western part of the Netherlands, you're paying more taxes because we are more underwater than in the eastern part. In the eastern part, yeah, they maybe still have to do some things, but not as much as over here. And for us, it's literally, if we don't pump, we would be underwater. So we don't have a choice. That's why. So yeah, it is a little more expensive to live in this part of the country. So I'm just going here to the left to get a little out of the wind again. So for example, there's over here an old-fashioned Dutch farm. By the way, if I'm coming here at daytime, you can get all kind of cheeses over here. Of course, also taste. Natalie is just learning something new about the Netherlands. So, and just again, just see how beautiful this view is. And you can see now over here, this lady is cycling underwater level. The people on the left on top of the dike, just above water level. And then these beautiful windmills at the side. And then we're going on the area of the Catharina-Hoeve, where they were making cheeses on the old-fashioned way still nowadays. So during daytime, sorry, it is now closed already, but during daytime, I can go inside here, and then we have all these typical Dutch cheeses, like the ones over here, the yellow, big yellow wheels, about 20 kilogram each. So this area, they're not only making chocolates, that's true. They're also making cheeses, although that's not specific for only this area. Uh, so it's more because there are a lot of people who want to come to the Netherlands to have the Dutch experience of cheese, of windmills and clocks and everything. And that's of course the best in the area over here. And over here, by the way, you see some of my favorite animals. Look at these ones over here. They're a little distracted, I think. The whole day they had already a lot of people. Oh, they are doing. Okay, It's not really interested in me. Maybe this one over here. Oh, they're quite cute, aren't they? They're cute. Come. Mhm. Of course. Oh, I think this one will get some little ones soon. Oh, sorry for this. My gimbal is little doing strange things. Oh, yeah, there we are. There's a whole collection over here. A whole flock of goats. So, and of course, you can also have goat cheese. That's one of the reasons why we have goats over here. So, and then over here at the left side, you see there's a smaller windmill, and that type of windmills are also used most of the time to pump the water, and that can be adjusted. There's a very tiny part where we have to pump the water, just like 20 centimeters or so, or half of a feet, and for that we had these little windmills, very cute ones. Now the goats here in the Netherlands, they don't eat gimbals, but they're eating AirPods. So I have to be careful with my AirPod. But that's still in my ear. But I have to be a little careful with that. Back the windmill and the tiny drawbridge. Beautiful. So, uh, and of course, look at this goat over here. Sorry, I cannot. Hey, come. Oh, doesn't want. If I'm coming more nearby, he's going away immediately. But he was eating the grass from the other side. And for people that are just joining, I'm sorry, I had a problem on the original channel. That's why I moved to this one. Started a little later, but I'm now here. At least it is working. Big cans that you that we're using um, for the milk. So, and to be honest, one of my granddads, he was a milkman, and he was having these kind of big things uh, to bring into the city to people, to restaurants and bars, for example, that wanted to have some more milk than just the liter uh, bottles that you also have. Hopefully, you can still hear me what I'm saying, because I see I don't know, my going on and on. So it's really not my day of technology. So I have to come back here one day during daytime, I think, because that's better. Than I can show you also the cheese, or maybe going to another place where they're making cheese. It's a little less touristy than the place over here. But there's a lot of cattle over here. I said already. Um, it's uh, it's not only goats, not only cows, but also sheep. So look how beautiful they are. They're still eating grass. Goat cheese, sheep cheese. It's a little similar. Also the same color. So one of the things, if you want to know how can you recognize cheese that is coming from a goat versus cheese that is coming um, from a cow, you can see it in the color. The yellow cheeses in the Netherlands are all cheeses from cow milk, and if the cheese is white, then it will be or goat or sheep. And of course, there are also not only farms, there are also little houses over here where you can buy. Over here we have the Bakkerij Museum, the Bakery Museum, so where you can get some of the old-fashioned Dutch sweet stuff that you could get in the bakery. Of course, you can also have some tea, and it's really, really beautiful how it still is, so how it's still used. And then one of the things you're maybe wondering, why are all these houses over here green? Why not brown or black? Or okay, there is a black house over there, but why not black or red or all kind of other colors? For that, for that answer, we have to go back to the 18th century. And in the 18th century, you have to imagine that all these houses over here are made from wood. And in the Netherlands, it is raining a lot, it is quite windy. So, what happens if you have a house of wood? After a while, you need to paint it again. So, people were literally searching for what is the best way, what is the best color to use, what is the best paint to use. And they found out that if they use color that is based on some metals and based on the pigment of copper, that works the best. Not only is it impregnating the wood a little better, it's also maintaining longer the wood than if you're painting it, for example, brown or red or even black. So, and then the second reason, that it was also a little cheaper than other colors. So I know in the end, of course, a lot of these things are based on economics. It's not that we love the color green a lot more than other colors or that we feel more connected to green. No, it's just cheaper and it's maintaining longer. The only thing is, it's also very poisonous. So it is really one of the worst colors because it's quite poisonous, so better not use it for your house. Although nowadays, of course, it's a little different. But in the old days, there were people that did not survive. That did not survive because they were painting too much with this green, typical green color. And nowadays, we're now hundreds of years later, about 200 years later, it is now still the color that is used, the color that is used in this area. Not only in Zaanse Schans, but in this whole area. And just to give you an idea, if you're looking over there to the other side of the river, and okay, let me come a little more nearby. Okay, I'm just first going to show you the house over here. You can see Anno 1734. So this is a house from 1734. Still, I said already before, people are living over here. So, and it's a beautiful scenery, isn't it? It is, yeah. It is for sure a beautiful scenery. Really like sort of an Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? I mean, even for me, I mean, I'm Dutch, so of course you're grown up with windmills and everything. But then the combination of all the green and the cute houses, and then not one or two windmills, but so many together, that is that's making a difference. It gives a different feeling. So like, okay, I can imagine if I'm coming here, how that there are so many people coming over here because they love it. So, okay, I'm just nearby the Zaan River again. And now look at the other side. I don't know if you can see it. It's, of course, a little gray. And the clouds are gray. The water is gray, reflecting the color of the sky. But at the other side of the river, you can see that a lot of the houses are still in a color of green. So, and what happened is that a lot of the more richer traders and also people that were engineers, etc., that were making money, that had the factories, they were living next to the river. And yes, it's gorgeous, I know. And then over here, you can see one, two, three, four, five windmills that are still turning, and and then the sixth one that lost the an important part on top. So that's also sometimes happens. And also good to know that in most of these windmills, not all, but most of these windmills, there's still people living. So you can become in the Netherlands a miller, then you're living in a windmill. Then also, if you're living there, you have to make sure you're living there for free, but you have to make sure that you're doing a lot of maintenance of the windmill. You can maybe imagine that because you're living in a machine, in a wooden machine, and Yeah, you need to paint, you need to do a lot of things. Oh, wait, I'm just forgetting one thing because over here on the side, you see there are these big stones. There are two big stones, completely round. And these big stones over here, um, they were used to grind all kind of things. So they're not in use anymore, most probably because the one over here was broken. But originally they are coming out of some of the windmills. And um, let's see. Susan is asking, are they called sails, Stefan? Yeah, we have sails. We have sails. If you're looking, okay, just let me do a little about the windmill. So we have over there the green windmill. I'm gonna zoom in a little. With a wind like right now, there is now a lot of wind. So you can see the third windmill. It is turning still. The others, they stopped already. But this one is still turning, but it is now, the wind is so strong that it doesn't need any more than just 2 weeks. But if we are going back, not to the second one, but to the green one, and on the green one, you can even see now, I'm zoomed in a little more, that over the weeks, there are a sort of, yeah, what is it? It is part of the sail. So in case there is not enough wind, what they can do is they can place sails over the weeks, so they have more. Um, there's a bigger part that can be into the wind, and that is used. That is used. So that is with if it's just a little wind. If there's just a little wind, they're using the sails to catch more wind and to make sure that they can still use the windmill. Oh, you can also see it over here, by the way. It's maybe even better. I'm just standing next to one. I'm zooming in over here. Wait, oh, why is the zoom not working when I want it to work? Yeah, there we are. You can also see over here. So over there, you see it's now, they're not using it right now, but if necessary, they can just open the sails to catch a little more wind. Okay, I'm just gonna walk back a little through the town because I've shown you already a lot, and I can imagine that there are more questions about things um, that I've been telling, or maybe that I've been not been telling. So this is the time to do that, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. By the way, if you're really looking around, then you see that they're everywhere. These stones that were used in the windmills. Oh, there's a photo shoot over there. More stones. But it's lovely to be here, isn't it? It's so calm. It's so calm compared to how it can be. And of course, all these shops over here, they're selling typical Dutch stuff. For example, this little rabbit. You maybe know it. You maybe have seen this before. It's quite popular nowadays in Asia, especially in Japan. But this is originally a Dutch rabbit called Nijntje. So in Dutch, we're calling it Nijntje, and the international name is Miffy, and it is coming from the Netherlands. And you can now see Miffy with together with the windmill in the reflection. So, but in the Netherlands, we're calling it Nijntje, and this is a very Dutch Nijntje, by the way. And it's made by, or it is originally made by a painter and writer from Utrecht, so from another Dutch city. And look how cute this little houses over here. And just to give you an idea, I told you that people are living over here, and you can even see it, I think, because if we're coming, look at the left window, you see there's a television. So someone is watching a television over there. So you can live here. The only thing, of course, you're living in an open air museum, and you have to make sure that your garden is always beautiful because there are so many people taking pictures of your garden or even live streaming your garden. So you have to make sure that all your plants and flowers are always in a really good state. So, but it is lovely. It is really lovely to be here. Well, it's so calm at the same time. I said already before, here on the right side, just next to the river, that's where you had most of the houses of traders, of the rich industrials and traders that had the money to have a house next to the water. Not only because they had a better view, but also so they could park their boat just outside of their house. So, and of course, also you're living on the dike, so it's also the highest point. It's a little safer than living behind the dike, because behind the dike you're living under the water level, under sea level, and up the dike at least a little higher. So, that kind of things were all important in the old times, at the moment that we were, of course, already controlling the water, but we were not controlling as good as we are doing it right now. Because now, the last time that we had in the Netherlands really big problems with dikes that were breaking was in 1953. 1953, so that's a long time ago. Since that time, hardly anything happens, but yeah, we're paying a price for that. We're paying a lot of tax money to keep our feet dry, also in this area over here. So, um, okay, let me just do a last little walk over here in this area. I didn't have this little drawbridge yet, and it's so nice because it is, I don't know the time exactly, but I think it's almost 9 o'clock. It's still light over here because sunset in after 9, I think 9:45, something like that. And wow. And Peter, no, for the windmills, they don't have to climb up to open the sails. No, no, no. That you can just do it under the wings of the windmill. So, and there's a reason. Yeah, I love this dog too because you don't have to go out with it. So, and look, it is still looking. You don't have to go out with it, and it's not barking if you don't want it. Wow, I love it. The roses in the garden. And it's so calm. So imagine during daytime, it is full of people over here that are walking here that want to see these little gardens and everything. And now I'm walking here on my own, and what you see is there are even some chicken. Was over here. I just let's see if I can find it. Where is it? Yeah, over here. There is a little chicken uh, just walking around. Look at this. Oh, and there's even a cat. Just let's say we have to be a little quiet. You can imagine that because people are living over here. But there is. You see, this bench over here is private, but I think it's private because it's from this cat. Oh, look, this is a beautiful one, isn't it? Hey, hello. And by the way, good to know that in the Netherlands, I think I told this one or two times before, but we are calling cats, if you're seeing a cat, the normal thing that you're saying, and until I started, but we're calling these animals pussy. So hello, pussy, 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 pussy. That's how you're calling a cat. And then I started to understand that in English that means something a little different. So I'm now a little more careful with just in public saying pussy when I'm talking about the cat, of course, just to make sure. So, but it's a cute one. So it's a cute pussy, isn't it? Okay, I'm just walking to the end over here. And all these houses, they are so beautiful, but imagine that you have a lot of maintenance. If you're living in a house like this, and the maintenance is maybe because it's completely made from wood, and even if you're using your green color, then still you have to paint your house a lot of times. So look at the how cute uh, how cute the door is over here. And again, so wow, this is just to take some good screenshots or postcards or whatever with this old car here on the side. And yeah, it was a cute kitty, wasn't it? That's true. It also really look like all these people over here. You can see most probably people over here just were eating outside. Um, and so they're just these are just their houses. So we're now walking, of course, still on a public street. We have to be a little quiet, but it is a beautiful. That really shows how in the old days this whole part of the Netherlands was like this. Also, look at the shutters that are nowadays almost not in use anymore, but in the old days they were used to keep the cold out. So in winter time they were closing everything to make sure that uh, they were warm enough. Look at this. And they're heating the houses now. Nowadays, they just have heating systems, so all central heating. But in the old days, it was also with just coal and earlier with wood. Beautiful orchard over here, by the way. It's so green. It's beautiful. This is the greenest month. If you're coming to the Netherlands, this is the greenest month. And uh, somewhere in August, you see that the first leaves already will get yellow again, but now it is in the spring here was quite wet, so everything is completely green. So modern, but of course it is still like living in a museum. So inside they're modern, but not on the level of if you're having a house of the 20th or 21st century. Of course, there are differences, but yeah, you're living in something like this. What do you want more than that? Okay, I'm just walking towards my favorite place to have a tea. I think it's closed now. No, it is closed, I know for sure, but it is always a lovely area. I was here already at the start. By the way, over here, just to give you an idea, the first building over here is, and you can read it in Dutch and in English. In Dutch it's saying Museum van het Nederlandse Uurwerk, or the Dutch Watch and Clock Museum. You see in English it's a little shorter, but it's the Dutch Watch and Clock Museum that you have inside over here. So, wow. But I really, really, really love this garden over here. So, yeah, and then my favorite tea house over here with the view over the river. And just to give you an idea, let's peek a little inside. Just having you a little higher, you can see there's still all kind of things that you can buy that are related to tea. So, but we're too late. It's after tea time, isn't it? So I'm just gonna show you my face again. I don't know, I had to start the stream again 2 times, I think now. So I don't know if this was an hour, but it feels like about an hour right now. What I did. I hope you enjoyed it and at least have seen something from the windmills. So really thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was also not too much wind. And it was not too much time to get into this stream. If so, I will leave this stream at least for 24 hours online. So if you missed it or if you've seen only the last part, then it is 24 hours more visible. So then you can at least see also the first part. So thank you again for joining. Thank you also for coffees or PayPals or all that kind of things. I'm going back to car that I rented. Going back to Amsterdam, that's about 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, something like that. And I hope to see you again on the next tour. I think I've now been doing 6 days of tours in a row, maybe even 7 days, 6 or 7 days in a row. So um, it is now time for me to have some days off for at least virtual tours. I have a lot of other things to do also with my company. So the coming days will be focused on that. But of course, I'll be back with all kind of new tours, and there's a lot to come. And I'm really happy that, okay, I still have sometimes these problems with connection, but I'm happy that it's at least I can get in every time again. And we are also still working on a new website to present all our tours together with some other guides. I mean, it's taking a lot of time, and it's also because for all of us it's high season, so we're doing so many things next to our virtual tour. So hopefully also an update about that soon. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for all the support, for also everyone who is a member or sponsoring me, because of that I can keep on traveling a little more outside of Amsterdam, and I'm now already making some plans for the coming months for that. So most probably going back to Belgium, some other parts of also in the Netherlands, because there's so many more beautiful parts to go to. Not only just around Amsterdam, but also a little more to the north, to the south, to the east, everywhere. And I still have to go to the east because almost haven't been in the east. Sorry, Natalie. Sorry, I haven't been in your part of the country, in your part of also my country in the end. So thank you again for um, for joining me today. I hope to see you again. Thank you for all the tips. It was a pleasure to have you, and I'm saying goodbye from the beautiful Zaanse Schans. And just repeat it with me. We were today in Zaanse Schans, Schans with a very hard G, because that is how we're pronouncing it. Bye bye, doei doei, see you again.